Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a week, so I figured I'd give you guys an update on my options trades. So let's get into it. Now, I had a viewer comment on my video last Friday where I started an options position in UPS. And that viewer had some really good suggestions. He had been retired, and he mentioned that that's how he creates income for himself is he sells options, which I thought, hey, I would love to get some advice. And he knew my total cash position was around $350,000, and he suggested that the $85,000 position I took on UPS was a little too large for a portfolio that size, which I completely agree with. And it was a little bit of an aggressive move. But my portfolio is around $1 million now with that cash on the sidelines. So he didn't know that, obviously. But even still, I think that $85,000, even on a $1 million portfolio, is still pretty aggressive. That's an 8% position size for just selling options contracts. So I'm still in that trade right now, by the way, with the $85,000 position. I sold 10 contracts at $85 strike prices. But I'm going to stick with that one. I was very close to closing the position yesterday. UPS has gone up, I think, $2 or $3 a share from when I sold those options. And I could have just walked away with $2,000 in premium. But I'm just going to let it ride a little bit more. I think I'll probably get a little bit more push to the bullish side on UPS next week. We'll see what happens. At the end of the day, a lot of times, most people who sell options, they just kind of go through the entire trade and try to capture as much premium as possible. So now this viewer, he mentioned, that's a little aggressive. So I thought to myself, you know what, he's right. I need to take a step back and maybe chop those positions in half. Okay. So this week I was looking for some new opportunities, and I thought to myself, okay, instead of pushing for an $80,000 position, let's go a little bit more than, like half of that. So let's go around $40,000, $30,000 positions. I thought that was more appropriate. So I have to say to that viewer, thank you for giving me the advice. He also said to not try to sell puts on stock prices that are under their 200-day moving average. And that's good advice as well. I think that if you are selling puts, it is a bullish take on a stock, and you probably want to be on an upward trajectory as far as the stock goes. Now, I didn't even look at the 200 MA on these new positions that I opened up this week. But I just looked at them again, similar to how I look at UPS. Normally, UPS trades sideways, which if I want to wheel these positions up and down, that's what I want. And so I looked at other stocks like that, and I found Intel. All right. Now, Intel has been struggling. Okay. I'm not super bullish on the stock in general, but for the most part, it just trades sideways. It's been trading around the $20 level, for who knows how long it's been there. It has had some spikes up to like 25, and then it sells off, 25, sells off. So right now, well, this week, Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, he's claiming the CEO should resign. So of course, the algorithms get a hold of it, and it drops down to $19.80 or something like that. And so I'm like, well, hey, it's right around that $20 mark. I looked at the premium. It was okay. It wasn't like great premium, but I only had to buy I only had to sell 15 contracts of Intel at $20 a share, which, what does that equate to? Let's see, $30,000. So I did another 3-week contract this week, and I collected, I think it was around $1,400 on Intel. So not too bad, about half the $3,000 goal that I'm going for. And even today, the stock closed above $20, which is my strike price. So hey, maybe it'll just stay going sideways for 3 weeks, and I'll collect that $1,400 and walk away or repeat the process. So that was my first stock I I got on with selling options. And then the second stock was PayPal. Now, PayPal, it had a huge spike during that the pandemic, and the everything remote work and all that stuff, and the electronic digital age we live in. And so that's why PayPal spiked all the way up to like 300 a share, and then it dropped all the way back down to around $60 a share. And it's been trading between 55 is around the low and like 75, 55, 75. But most of the time it trades like under $70 a share, between 60 and 70, that tight range. It's been there for quite a long time. And I think their earnings weren't like super hot. They were fine. They weren't like, horrible or anything, but they weren't above expectations. When a stock gets earnings above expectations, that's when you'll see that north trajectory on a stock. But PayPal didn't blow earnings away, so it's back down under $70 a share, and it was like the only red stock the other day. And I'm like, hey, PayPal's kind of a boring stock. It's probably going to go sideways. The lowest it's probably going to go, honestly, is probably below 60. I bought some back at like 58 a share, and I sold it at like 64, like 3 or 4 months ago. So I kind of know how it trades. So that one I sold 5 contracts. So I took my position down because I think that advice that guy said was good advice. So I went with 5 contracts at $71 strike prices. And that equates to, what would 10 be? Yeah, 71,000 divided by 2. It's around $35,000 that I would have to pony up if I have to get assigned the shares, which right now I sold that premium at $71 strike prices when the stock was trading at $68. So even right now, I could get assigned those shares at any moment. The person who I sold that contract to, they could exercise that contract, and I would have to buy the shares at $71 a share. Most of the time, most people don't do it. They wait till expiration, but I got to be ready for it. I got to have the cash for it. So I sold those for a $1,600 premium, not too bad. So in total, $1,600 plus the $1,400, I'm at another $3,000 in premium this week. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go. These are 3-week contracts, the same time period I did with UPS, and so I'm just going to kind of stagger these $3,000 option contracts from week to week. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to open up another $3,000 position next week, because depending on the price action, I might not feel too comfortable doing so. And depending on the macro environment, if the macro gets really negative, I may try selling more. I don't know. But you got to be careful, because I'm in these positions now. I could own UPS stock, I could own PayPal stock, and I could own Intel stock. So, and I'm not super bullish on any of those companies. I just see them as being boring stocks that kind of go nowhere, both to the downside and the upside. And I'm just trying to sell premium at the end of the day and have a nice little income. Now, I did the math. I don't know if this is possible, but if I could successfully sell option contracts, whether it's selling puts or selling covered calls, if I did that once a week for $3,000, after 52 weeks, I'd have around $150,000. Wouldn't that be great? But the reality is, guys, is that you're going to get exercise and you're going to have to own shares. And typically, those shares may have gone down, and you may not be able to sell covered calls for exactly how much you want. You could get stuck with a stock and have to sell covered calls a little out of the money, and you may not collect $3,000. You may only collect $1,000 that week, or $500, or even $250, because maybe you're really underwater on the stock and you don't want to lose money, right? So there's tricks to the trade. And I even looked at some option strategies with ChatGPT. There's like different strategies. Like you can buy a put option even out of the money that can hedge your option selling strategy. So that's an interesting option I could explore as well. But for now, I'm just doing kind of simple selling of options with this cash that I have for now. And all the while, I'm collecting interest while I don't own any shares. So I'm collecting that 4% interest from the government, which is nice too. So I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of an update. I'm doing well on the UPS trade. I'm up 50% on those options. Like I said, I could have taken profit, but I'm going to let them ride a little bit longer. And then I just started 2 new positions. So, wish me the best of luck. We'll see how it goes. Again, I'm not a financial professional. I can't tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. This is just how I'm doing things right now, giving you guys various ideas of how I'm making income on my portfolio. I'm also invested long in the market in general. I probably will end up deploying some of this cash I have probably in some safe mutual funds eventually. But for right now, I'm just going to try this strategy and see if it works out. So anyways, if you guys like this content, like and subscribe to the channel, and take a look at my previous channel if you and take a look at my previous video if you could. And everyone, have a great day. Thanks.